Hi everyone! Welcome to Tuesday's Tonic Talk with Skin and Tonic. I'm Jennifer, the nurse injector here at Skin and Tonic in Brighton, Michigan. Today we are going to be talking about some fun things. What I would do if I had $100 to spend on my skin, and then another section, what I would do if I had $1,000 to spend on my skin and anti-aging. So these are kind of fun, and I wanted to give you a little sneak peek before we get into that. The next 3 weeks, I kind of got on a roll when I was thinking of ideas, so I went ahead and set them up. So coming up in the next 3 weeks, we're going to do simple, cost-effective ways to maintain your healthy, youthful skin. And then another one will be Myth or Fact, Skin Anti-Aging Edition. I think those are always fun. You see so much stuff on social media and you're not quite sure what's real, what's not real. So we're going to help you kind of debunk some of those myths and save some pennies on things that probably just don't work. And then the last one will be a rapid fire red flag skincare habits. Okay, so those are coming up in the next couple weeks. So let's get into this week again. What I would do if I had $100. I'm always very conscious of budgets, probably stemming from, being a single mom. We all have our thing, right? Like, I like buying a nice quality pair of shoes, but, I might go to Target to buy the latest sweatshirt, right? You know what I mean? We all have our priority and things. I'm not one that loves spending hundreds of dollars on my skincare products. I like using good quality products. Otherwise, what's the point? But I don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on it, right? So here's some ways that you can inexpensively maintain your anti-aging goals. So priority number one is collagen and improving the behavior of your skin. You can control that based on some certain types of products that you're using. And I like to keep our skincare regimens simple. When they get too complex and you're not sure what goes before what, and you got a 12-step regimen, chances are it gets thrown in the drawer and you basically wash your face and throw on some lotion because you just don't have the time or you don't understand the complexity of which thing to layer first. So using kind of a simple regimen, I like to recommend a good wash applicable for your skin type, starting with one additive for whatever your goals are. So if you're trying to treat rosacea, we're going to use one specific treatment for that. If we're trying anti-aging, it's probably the retinol. If you need skin brightening, it might be vitamin C. If you're working on pigmentation, it might be Melifade, or a stronger product would be hydroquinone. And then you're going to use a hydration product, and then your SPF for daytime use. So number one would be to invest in a good quality medical grade SPF. And why is that? Everyone talks about sunscreen, especially because we're in Michigan. We don't get a lot of sun, although today is gorgeous outside. Why it feels like 20 degrees in Michigan feels like you can throw on some shorts, but 40 degrees in Florida, you're freezing. I don't quite understand that, but I digress. We're always being hit with those UV rays, stronger in the summer months, but we're surrounded by water. So I know myself and pretty much most of my clients, we can get to water within like a 2-mile radius pretty much anywhere. There's beaches, there's lakes, all sorts of bodies of water for us to get out on that water. And protecting our skin is really important. It prevents probably 80% of your aging process. So it is really important not to just take your body SPF spray and squirt it on your face real quick and then forget about it for the rest of the day. You really need to use a liquid-based. Mineral-based is my preference, but I'm right there with you. There's so many products that I've used that are like tacky or greasy, or they leave like a white tint. Some of them, you don't think there's a white tint, but then when you go back and you see pictures of you and your friends from the weekend, you've got this like glazed over look to your skin or kind of a sick, yellowy, peaky look, right? So making sure that you're picking products that leave a transparency. Let's see what else. It protects your skin, but what it also does is it's also protecting the other products that you put on your face. So if you're using good quality products and then you're not protecting your skin with an SPF, the sun and the UV rays are also breaking down your products. So they're essentially ineffective, right? So you're doing both things there. Even if you don't think you're going to be in the sun because you're going to be in the car all day, that sun is being amplified. I often see, and I can tell people that, have jobs or careers that they're on the road a lot because the left side of their face is usually aged more than the right side. And that's usually because that sun is coming through that glass and it's being amplified onto your skin on this side. So making sure that you're even wearing SPF if you're going to be indoors or, in a vehicle, because that sun is still going to get to you. So that's your foundation. The next thing I would do, anybody over the age of 35 really should be using a retinol. And I think some of us don't because we've had a bad experience or we're just not sure. We don't know which retinol to use. I have some clients that, fly down to Mexico and come back with a tube of retinol. There's different strengths of retinol. So you can use one as low as a 0.25%. That's even, studies have shown that's even safe for pregnant women. So you can start with that one. You want to use it primarily at night. You do not want to layer it over vitamin C. The two ingredients together do not work synergistically. So you want to make sure that this is a nighttime additive. You don't want to put it on in the morning because if you're going to be out in that sun, the retinol can, you can burn easier. It'll dry out your skin. You're going to get dry and flaky more. So it's a nighttime additive. It's going to stimulate collagen. So the retinol that I use is a tincture base. So we just put like 3 drops on the tip of our fingers, and I always explain this to my clients that don't drop it into your hand, put it on your fingertips. They're going to have the lightest touch so that you're not dragging and pulling on your skin, but also distribute the product first, then kind of rub it in. Sometimes you put it on your hand, you rub it in, well, you just lost 50% of your product. And then you start here because it's just naturally where your hands are going to go first. So the the majority of your product is getting right here, and then it's not getting in these areas. So I like to use my ring finger and dab it under the eyes. A lot of people suffer with that under eye excess skin and crepiness. So using a good retinol and starting to use it under your eyes, being careful not to get it close to your lashes in your eye. And then I do my nose to help keep down on the pore size, chin to help control some of that hormonal acne, and then distribute it over the rest of my face. Again, it's collagen stimulating, and that's what we need the most over the age of 35 because we're losing natural production of it, okay? It does cell turnover. So cell turnover, new skin cells means lighter, brighter, tighter, toner skin. So what we want essentially is cell turnover. With that cell turnover, people do tend to see some dryness and flakiness. So that's why I'm saying start with a lower grade, the 0.25%. You can work your way up to 0.5 or to 1%. Start with just twice a week. Pick your days to be consistent with whatever works with your schedule. And you can work up to as much as 3 to 4 times a week, depending on your strength and depending on how your skin is reacting to that. If you're getting dryness, don't just stop using your retinol. Look at what else you're using. Maybe you're layering it incorrectly. Maybe you're putting it on after the wrong products, or maybe you're not protecting it with a moisturizer. You always want to balance it. I learned this recently about hair, that there's bonding products, and I'm by no means a hair expert. There's bonding products, which you think are great because you're helping, strengthen the bond of your hair. But if you do not balance it with moisturizing your hair, those bonding treatments can actually create more breakage in your hair. Fun fact, right? I didn't know that either. I just learned that like a month or 2 ago. So your skin's the same way, right? You have to balance it with some moisture and making sure that it's something that's penetrating well. What I would skip all the trendy masks, the cute little face masks, any random serums that, Amazon pops up as 12 million of them sold. A lot of those reviews can be purchased. So it looks like it's a great product, but they've bought those reviews. I always say word of mouth is really your tried and true. find out whichever friend of yours has the best looking skin and ask her, what are you doing? What are you using? That's far better than looking at the reviews on Amazon. Okay. So, and buying medical grade skincare online is a dangerous business. When I used to do oils, I had learned that you could buy, it was doTERRA oil. So you could buy those little doTERRA bottles pre-labeled, and you could buy those caps, and people were filling them with vegetable oil and a couple drops of lavender. So when you open the bottle, it would still smell like it. And then you can buy those sealed caps, and then they're selling them on Amazon for the same price, same retail price. So those types of things can be done with skincare too. So that's, again, another reason why you want to make sure that you're buying from a reputable source, either from the manufacturer themselves. They all have websites, I'm sure, or, in-house at day spas, you're going to get skin grade, and then at med spas, you're going to get medical grade, which just means that the ingredients percentages are a little higher. Okay. 12-step routines. Again, I'm not going to do 12 steps. I don't have time for it. For the longest time, I'm so tired. Once I sit down at night, I'm done. I'm not getting back up, and I wouldn't even wash my face. I'm sorry to admit that, but now, of course, I do. But definitely skip the real complex things that you're not going to stick with. Make sure it's something that fits with your lifestyle. Okay. All right. These I'm going to go through just a little faster, but what would I do if I had $1,000 to invest in my skin? I haven't read these yet, so I'm going to have to kind of look at them. Yes, I do think Botox is fantastic. And I think what people don't understand about Botox is it's a preventative. So when Botox is a neuromodulator, so it is essentially relaxing the muscle. Muscle has memory, just like when you work out. So the muscles in your face, when you're contracting and making facial expressions, has memory. So those neuromodulators relax those muscles to try to help them forget what they're supposed to, contracting. But as we age and our skin is breaking down because it's not producing enough collagen, it's not producing enough NAD, it starts to get a little more lax. We start to lose fat under the eye, in the mid face, or the bone. You actually start to lose bone here and here. So if the skin is looser and the underlying structure is losing some volume, everything is going to come forward and down, right? So I love that. I always get that desperate call of my face is falling off. Like, help, what am I doing? What do I need to do? Because my face is falling forward. Neurotoxins, as your skin ages, if it relaxes this muscle, it can't contract, and then the skin can't touch, right? So when it's actually this way, so when your skin buckles, when your muscle moves, this skin that you see, that shadow there, eventually it's going to cause damage to the skin because it's touching itself over and over and over again. And so it starts to break down those skin cells. So that is where Botox helps with anti-aging. It's not the product itself that's helping, it's the action that it's causing that's preventing those deep inset lines, okay? So that's kind of a myth, but it is probably the number one prevention against getting that skin damage, i.e. wrinkles is what we usually call them. There are ways to get your tox to last longer. Those are something that you can ask your injector. LED lights, I think a lot of people are getting kind of on that bandwagon, and it's not new technology. It's been out for decades. Just make sure that if you're buying those home devices, you're making sure that it has, FDA approved, and it has the safe level of lights, which I'm not going to get into. You guys can Google all that information, or you can make an appointment. We'll go over it. But you want to make sure that it has the right lumens and it's effective, right? Just because you saved $1,000 and found it on Alibaba for $200 doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be really effective for your skin. But it is recommended to use LED light therapy 2 to 3 times a week for 20 minutes. That's great for anti-aging. Sometimes, I know my sauna has LED lights in it. Doesn't really help me because it's sitting in the garage, but hopefully one day I'll get that put back together. We do them with treatments after microneedling. It helps with healing time, helps to speed up healing. It's great for acne. I have one at home for my girls. Usually you can find a device that they can kind of slide under so you can treat your face, your neck, You can even slide it up if you're trying to do hair restoration. We can even fit ours over like the abdomen or a leg. So if you're doing skin tightening treatments, it's good for that too. So if you do invest in one for home, make sure that it's versatile enough that you can fit it over different body parts. And you can usually find a decent one for $300. Medical grade facial treatments. You want things that are just going to stimulate and reduce inflammation. Core skin trios. Okay, so your core skin goes back to your SPF, your retinol, and vitamin C. Those are the three main things. So a good skincare wash, a good vitamin C, retinol, good moisturizer, and then your quality SPF. Microneedling RF. This probably should also go on the myth versus fact segment, but microneedling RF is starting to get kind of a bad rap. It's really not the device that's bad, because microneedling is tried and true. It's great for your skin, causing intentional injury to the skin surface and the underlying dermis, because you're going to get a probable outcome. So microneedling is fantastic. I always explain it. I love analogy. So I always explain it like it's like aerating your lawn, right? You're just aerating your face. It's great. And you're going to get new skin cells, lighter, brighter, lifted, toner skin. It's the RF that comes in, that this is where you need to make sure that you are getting the treatment with a provider that you trust. It's about the settings. You know, I had an IPL years ago at a well-known facility, and the tech had the settings wrong. So she did it on my chest, and I had 3rd-degree burns that took 6-7 years to treat and get that pigmentation off. So it is in the hands of your provider, and although there are complications sometimes, and that's with any treatments that you do want to make sure that you know that you trust your provider and that they're educated and you've been very clear about what your goals are, because sometimes if there's not a clarity and communication between you and your provider about what is your end game. I have one particular client that it's very hard for me, because she wants more skin on her lid to kind of hang down. And that is completely contradictory to what 99.9% of everybody else wants. But this is what she wants aesthetically, and that's my goal, is to understand your personal needs. So that's something you want to make sure that you're very clear with your provider. With the microneedling RF, it's about the depth and the level of energy being delivered. So if it is delivered in the wrong energy base and the wrong layer of skin, you can have negative effects. So that's where you want to make sure that your provider is a competent provider, and you've been very clear about your goals. Okay, so when done effectively, it is great for cell turnover. It's great for increasing collagen. That radio frequency and heat helps to induce collagen. It's excellent if you've had Sculptra injected. To get a microneedling RF like 6 to 8 weeks later, it really just amplifies that collagen production. Medical logic behind both budgets. Aging comes down to collagen breakdown, repetitive muscle movement, inflammation, and UV damage. So SPF to prevent your UV damage. Do things to increase your collagen. So either Sculptra injectable, microneedling, retinols, anything that you can do to increase your collagen. People often ask me about oral collagen. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, so don't hold me to this, but in my own personal belief, I just don't think the value of it really gets past your gut. So I think you have to do other things for it. And then that repetitive muscle movement, preventing that would be your Botox. Let's see. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Tips. So ultimately, to close, I'm talking about protecting your skin. Preventative is always easier to maintain and prevent than it is to reverse. Okay, so you're always going to spend more if you've neglected something too long, and then you want somebody to, reverse it. That's going to take a little longer time, and it's going to take more money. Okay, so if you are investing little bits in your skin now, over time, it's going to be way more cost effective. It's going to be less traumatic, and it's just going to lead you into like a natural aging process and to look, your optimal best. Okay, so that covers just about everything in this this segment. If you guys have any questions, we do offer now 15-minute telehealth nurse consultations that are free. Our in-house consultations are no longer free, unfortunately, but it does include your medical clearance exams for all your treatments. And we generally spend about 45 minutes with you, so it does, cover our provider's time. And we like to schedule you with enough time so that we can put together an action plan of not just what we're treating, what you're here for today, but what you should be doing all year. So we like to have those treatment plans provided in your charts as well. So if you have any questions about these things, reach out to us. We're here to help you in any way we can, and we'll see you next week on Tuesday. Great. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.